Our topic for today is called Understanding URLs. So, what is URL? So, think that every time you click a link on a website or type a web address into your browser, that is called a URL. And this also stands for Uniform Resource Locator. So think of it like a street address with each portion of the address holding a different information. And so URL is somehow like the address in the internet. So also remember that every URL begins with the scheme. So this tells your browser what type of address it is, so the browser connects it to the web page or website correctly. There are many types of schemes, but for typical web browsing, you will just mostly see HTTP or HTTPS. So also your browser usually won't show the scheme in the address bar, and you don't actually need as well to type the scheme when typing a web address. Instead, you can just begin with the domain name, but also remember that the scheme is still always part of the URL. It's not being displayed. So now let's go to domain name. So the domain name is the most prominent part of a web address. Typically, the different pages on the same site will continue to use the same domain name. So the domain name is somehow like the identity of the URL. And so now let's go on with this slide. So remember that each segment of the domain name is separated by a period called domain as well. So as you can see in the picture, the subdomain is the www, the second level one is the GCF learn free, and then top level is .org, and so on. And so what is a file path? So guys, a file path is often simply called path that tells your browser to load a specific page. But if you don't specify a path and only enter the domain name, your browser will be still loading on a specific page. But it will just go to a default page, which can usually help you navigate to other pages. So also URLs that end with the domain name without a file path usually will load a home page or an index page that is designed to help you navigate to a specific page on the site. But oftentimes, if you can't remember the file path or the specific page, you can just simply go to the home page and search for it. So now let's go on with parameters. Some URLs include a string of characters after the path beginning with a question mark. That question mark is called the parameter string. So us humans, we probably notice that this part of the URL appears to be confusing. So we cannot understand the parameters, but this is critical information to the server. And so lastly, we have the anchor. So this is also appearing after the path. The anchor tells your browser to scroll or load a specific part of the page. Usually the anchor begins with a hashtag. So this hashtag is used to direct your browser to a specific part of a very long page. So it's like a bookmark. But different anchors don't load different pages. They just simply tell the browser to display different parts of the page. So when combine these elements that make up a URL, it makes the server, or it helps the server find the website or web page easier. But sometimes not all URLs have all these 5 parts. There are also short URLs. So that is all for today. Good day.